So, Professor Stephan Gerhard, founder of 25 Hours Hotel. Welcome to Berlin.
Thank you.
Welcome to ITB and welcome to ITB Convention.
Thank you.
My first question is, how would you describe the focus of your work and why do you think it is important for the industry? What are you doing?
My work, which we present here on the ITB, is quite important because it's work which is interesting for everybody in tourism, because we decided to talk about a radical change in tourism. That's what we present today. Some thesis about radical change, not a change, a small change, but we present some of these theses we worked on since 1.5 years. And so we are a couple of guys, girls and guys, and presenting them. That's the first thing. So it's not the thing I'm doing. I'm not a sustainable guy. I'm the one who is on with Lufthansa, so I'm flying all the time. Carbon 1,000 times more than anybody else, and something like that. So my work is somehow different. But here in this circle, I'm working with everybody who is in the circle, and so we present that. And the main topic is don't kill the goose which lays the golden eggs. So that's the real reason we are working, or the real reason why we met, why we talked about this, because we think tourism like it is today is sometimes it's a sort of problem. Not everywhere, but it's a problem for destinations. But the destinations, they live with tourism, and if there are no new ways to do tourism in future, then tourism could be a problem. Could be a problem for the people who travel, could be a problem for the people who work in the industry, because if they harm our earth, then it's not good. That's not for good. That's the reason. And that's the thing we want to present. We want to give some new ideas what is radical, And it's not that easy. I'm sorry that I'm talking a little bit around the whole thing. It's not that easy, because if we change tourism and say, okay, no travels anymore, but maybe you can travel with your horse or with a bicycle, so you won't come to Bali. Bali, 85% of the people live from tourism. So they will be sort of hungry maybe, because mango alone is not the nutrition they need. So therefore it is not easy. And radical change is not easy in itself, because radical means not small steps, but change it. And so we have got one thesis which says close off destinations. Boracay has been, for example, closed for 2 years. This is an example, but it was made by the government, and it said we close it because it's dirty. So that's not the thing we think of. You can't close it just now and then it happens. But if you want to close something, then you have to do something before you close. And that are the things we are pointing out now afterwards.
So, but what might be the alternative instead of closing a destination? Is there something really feasible which can be done as an alternative?
Closing off is the last step. If there's nothing else possible before that, you can have the fair prices. For example, that the harm you make to the world, maybe then you have to calculate it in your prices, and then you have to give a fair share to sustainability. It exists maybe for 1% or something like that, but it should be a fair share. So that means a destination which is harmed much, like the Machu Picchu. Then you have to pay for the travel, maybe 3,000 euro with the guides and everything, and then maybe another 3,000 to go to the Machu Picchu, because it harms a lot. But if you go to, to Egypt, and there's a beach, then you don't harm the country or something like that much. So you give a 10% on top. So that's a fair pricing for sustainability. This could be one step before you close off. Close off is last, ultimate.
Yeah. But you would consider that a concept which might work to change prices, and or
It's
you might
one of
call it
the
a political price, or
Yes, that's exactly the thing. So this is one of the theses we are discussing today here on the ITB. It's one of the 10, but it is one step. It could be possible, maybe not everywhere, but we should discuss it because it could be a way to gain money for the places we have to rescue. I don't know the word, maybe it's wrong. Or for example, Hisham, he was part of our discussion. He's a former 3 times Minister of Tourism of Egypt. They are living from that. So when he saw that one of their blue holes, the diving holes, harmed the reef, then he decided to close it one day because there have been too many tourists. But what did he have to do? He opened 2 other areas for diving. So you have to think about it. You can't do it like now it happens, like the people in the Philippines did with Boracay. That's not the way.
I mean, from your personal experience in the industry, what is the key message you want to convey at the ITB convention? What do you want the people to take home from you today?
Well, there are 2 messages. The first one I already said, that's the goose. We should think about the goose, and then otherwise we won't get the golden eggs, and it is not possible. And the second thing is that it is possible to change tourism. Because some people say it is not possible. That's again with a horse and Bali. So we believe that it is possible, and we believe that our thesis, 10 of them or 9 of them, and the 10th is a combination of everything. If you make tourism this way, then it will be changed, and it will be better for this world, and it will be more sustainable. It's the main thing. That's the main Botschaft message we want to deliver. It is possible. We have got one guy, he's out there, the Georg Schweisfurt. They had, not only for an example, he will present himself for some minutes. He made a radical change because he was the owner of Hatta. Maybe you know it, they have the sausage packages in France and in Germany. So it was the biggest manufacturer or industry for meat and sausages in Europe. And one day the family decided to sell the whole thing, and they restarted in the same business, not in another business. They restarted with a fully ecological, fully sustainable, very little thing naturally, but he restarted. He's the only man on earth I know who changed his life from very good to very sustainable, and so it is possible. He is the proof.
Yeah, so he might work as a role model from what he's doing.
Exactly.
But if I understand you correctly, it's not only about being radical, it's also about compromising between different stakeholders and shareholders and environmental issues, right?
Or it's therefore, you need the politician. Yes, you need somebody who makes it like that it works. Because if people say we don't want to have it, then it won't work. Therefore, we have to convince that it is possible. That's the first thing, or second thing, or third thing, I don't know, that it is possible, and that they are standing behind this idea. So you have to talk with all the shareholders and stakeholders, not shareholders, sorry. And for me it's not that difficult, I think, because I'm entrepreneur. That means I'm living from tourism in hotels and I don't know what clubs and things like that. That's the one thing. 25. And the other thing is I've been consultant for the hotel and for the hospitality business for 40 years. So I always had to discuss with everybody everything. So it is possible, but only if you convince the people that there's a logic or that it makes sense. Then they have to understand this, because until today, that's my feeling, only my feeling. There are lots of studies. There are hundreds of studies. There are hundreds of foundations for sustainability, and there are some of them also thinking about tourism. But what did it change? They are the studies. They are great. We use them as well, naturally. But the people say, yes, we are going to Bali. The flights are fully booked now. Huh? Not the horses, but the flights. That's it. So therefore, I said, for me, that we have to be more public, and to be more public, in the second step, you have to convince the public that it makes sense. Same thing has been done by television, for example, for carbon. They said, okay, the carbon emission of rich people is much more than of poor people. Okay, so they try to convince people that you could change something. And that's the thing we have to do.
Okay. So many things have to be done, and I'm having more questions, but we're running out of time. So we're already at the end of our interview. So thank you very much for your information and your insights. It was very interesting. Thank you, Mr. Gerhard.